meeting for the Plan Commission to order for October 21st, 2021. Can we start with roll call, please?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Crompton?
Here.
Mr. Kella?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Perez?
Here.
Ms. Rohr? Here. Mr. Wunderlich?
Here.
Mr. Dillon?
Here. Do we have a motion for the previous minutes from one of the commissioners?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr? Abstain. Mr. Wunderlich?
Here, yes.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye. Who got Jim?
First order of business is citizens to be heard on agenda items. If there's anyone that would like to speak on agenda items, you can do so now. Please also be aware that you could speak when the agenda item is called later on. Is there anybody that would like to speak on agenda items?
Good afternoon. Kathy Spieler. I'm on the board of the Reedwood Neighborhood Association, and I'm not just here representing myself, but I'm also here representing the entire board who is at work at this time and our association. Our board and association in unity strongly object to the change in the ordinance proposing only a 50-foot requirement to add a marijuana dispensary on Jefferson Street. I'm here today to ask for your help to help us as community leaders. We need your help to preserve our city. While I realize the city needs tax money to function, we are becoming a haven for crime, addiction, and panhandling. There is a tent city on the west side behind the Pep Boys, primarily harboring drug addict people. We've now got Airbnbs popping up everywhere, some like Francisco's Crib, renting to undesirable party people. Others emptying their trailer sewage into our clean, fresh water drains in my neighborhood. We have single-family rental homes not inspected. And from all the issues mentioned above, there's been an increase in crime, gang activity, and shootings in the last 3 years. There are multiple break-ins in the Cathedral area, and we are told it's all centered around drugs and drug addiction, of course. Drug users breaking into homes, stealing so they can go buy another fix. Adding marijuana dispensaries to Jefferson Street would be bad enough. But adding them into our neighborhoods by allowing them to set up shop only 50 feet from residential homes will affect our quality of life. These ordinances are put into place to protect the citizens of Joliet. Allowing another pot store only 50 feet from our neighborhood is going to skyrocket the drug use, panhandlers, theft, crime, and accidents. Please do not alter this ordinance and take away more of our peace. We already have families and some who have lived 20 or more years in my neighborhood putting their homes up for sale. They're moving to places like Elwood and Shorewood to get away from all of this. My family does not want to move. My mother, age 84, gave 60 years of her life volunteering and working hard to save these near West Side neighborhood communities. And lastly, pot dispensaries aren't supposed to be by schools. But why would it be okay to put one 50 foot from a residential home that has children in it? What's the difference? It's a school has children, homes have children. So please, I ask you for your help. Let's stop the alteration of an ordinance that will potentially ruin our beautiful neighborhoods before it's too late. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item?
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Robbins, and I'm with the Jackson Township Board. I'm here to talk about the property out on 53 that is up for rezoning. As a board, we are totally against this development. We feel it is irresponsible and reckless to even consider putting more warehouses on Route 53. This will put hundreds, if not thousands, of more cars and trucks on Route 53 and other roads. Do you really think this is a safe idea to put more traffic on 53? Maybe you don't have to drive it as much, but the people of Elwood and their kids do every day. We have trucks and cars pulling out in front of us every day. How many more accidents or God forbid deaths will it take to realize there should be no more warehouses on route with access to Route 53? Just think if your kids had to drive it every day in a car or in a bus to school. Would you think it was safe or be happy they're late for school because of problems on 53? This has gone on long enough about the problems, and they need to be addressed before warehouses and more traffic can be approved. Please think of not only people of Elwood, but also of Joliet that live out there, that live south of 80 along Route 53. Lastly, be a good neighbor. Would you want this in your backyard? Just as an elected official, it's getting very disheartening. There's no cooperation and no communication on these projects that are directly affecting our township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cal Gutierrez here, 9544 Sharp Road, Elwood, unincorporated. I've been there since 1973. Now, it's sad that Joliet takes and zones properties, and then city council automatically takes and says, moneymakers, right? Most of their properties don't end up at 53 or going through Joliet roads. They go through township roads. We have had to have speed bumps put on our road. And even with the speed bumps, they're not blacktop speed bumps. They're the ones that are screwed in where you got to almost come to a complete stop. We've had people pass us on the warehousing on them speed bumps. And it's not even a dedicated right-of-way. Right, but Joliet thinks that as long as it's got a blacktop on it, the warehouse workers are free to do anything that they want. Now, here we are, we've got a Joliet city that when I grew up in it, because we've lived here since the 1960s, right? It used to be a city that you could go downtown, buy clothing, go to restaurants and everything, and now what do we have? We have a city of nothing but potholes. We've got accidents on 53 and between Doris and Patterson Road just about weekly. Yet Joliet doesn't seem to care. All they care is about a couple bucks coming in. Yet the quality of life on the west side is a hell of a lot better than what it is out there south of I-80 because they don't get the traffic, right? Now, you would think that instead of Joliet taking and deciding, let's get all this stuff going, right? Zone it for warehousing, talk down the schools, but not do anything with the problems that they're going on in the schools. You would think that that would be their first priority. So instead of having warehousing, you'd have houses where they're paying, the bigger subdivisions are paying $7,000, $8,000 for a lot on taxes every year. Where a warehouse only pays a minimum. And then the truckers, if they turn down our road, knock down our signs and everything, get out in the yards, that's not us. Talk to the county about that. Talk to the township. Everything's coming off of city annexed properties that are getting the tax money, but they're not willing to do anything for us out there. Have common sense. Nobody wants all that. I see a sign in front of Pilot over there, 53 on Railway Road. I don't know, is Pilot gonna be a warehouse now? Is Route 66 drag strip? Because they got one right in front of the drag strip. Is that gonna be warehousing? Now, I heard the Pritzker's daughter, or sister bought that. I'm not sure, But here's the thing. Joliet puts a police officer almost 400 feet away from 53 at the entrance of that racetrack to do what? Just check for overloads at 400 feet? Come on. You should have, and Joliet will tell you, we don't have the money to put people out there, right? But yet you got one that's 400 feet away from 53. What's he doing, sleeping or talking on his cell phone? And it's been said once and a bunch of times, when Joliet and all these people take and stop somebody, they don't stop them for overloads. They stop them for no trucks. $300, $350, they put out the bucks. Next day, another truck driver was coming through there. Well, we tried, get them for overloads, but you know what we were told? And this was years ago. We were told that if you get them for an overload, it may be a $30,000 fine. That truck will never be down that road again, so we're not getting $350. Use your heads. Think about if you lived out there, not as out of sight, out of mind, and listen to these people that are out here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Beth Gannon, 903 Western Avenue. About 4.5 years ago, I moved from the 500 block of Western to the 900 block of Western due to an increase in crime at where I was previously. And I have to tell you, I thought by moving a little further west that maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but it's really gotten a lot worse. And what I'm here to talk to you about is to please say no to changing, allowing the marijuana dispensaries to be even closer to our homes. In the amount of time I've lived at the other end of Western, I have seen so many businesses along Jefferson go out of business, and it was before COVID and as we're approaching post-COVID, so you can't put it all on COVID. I mean, we've lost Boston Market, Baker Square, Arby's, we've lost a beauty salon, we've, we lost a car dealership, and as far as crime goes, I believe it was a little over a year ago, we had a man go in with a shovel at St. Vincent de Paul resale store and try to bash in the head of the workers and the employees. We had, in July, we had someone along Jefferson at the old Amoco station shoot it up, which led to a police search in my neighborhood with dogs and big guns. We also had armed robbery at the gas station by the airport, had an armed robbery which led to a chase at the AT&T. We had somebody steal an ambulance along Jefferson. A little less than a month ago, there was some type of incident with canines and close to a dozen squads outside the home cut at 7 o'clock at night. Yesterday at 3:30 on Jefferson, at Reed and Jefferson at the Walgreens, I got harassed by a homeless man, a drug addict, and he then promptly went over to the Dollar Tree to go bother someone else for drug money. And I guess I'd just like to have you look at a common theme here. This crime is happening because people need the money to buy drugs. You allow this dispensary on Jefferson, it's gonna be in proximity of Thurtson, St. Paul the Apostle, where my children go to school, Pershing, and Joliet Township High School West. Allow these kids to walk home from school. All they have to do is walk over to that dispensary and wait for someone to stand outside and sell them drugs. We can do better. You know, I know we need the money, but we don't need it that badly that you are gonna allow these neighborhoods to be ruined and our children to become drug addicts. So please do the right thing and say no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on through the agenda. Old business for public hearing. We have P 621, revised preliminary plat of Mountain Road Commercial Park Subdivision. The applicant is Sharp Property Solutions. They are the developer and owner. Requested action is approval of the revised preliminary plat of Mountain Road Commercial Park Subdivision. Purpose is to continue the development of the commercial park. Existing zoning is I-2 General Industrial. The location of the southeast corner of Mountain Road and Hubble Road. Size is 48.23 acres. Existing land use is a commercial park. Surrounding land use and zoning is industrial residential, I-2 and unincorporated Will County to the north. To the south is industrial I-2. To the east is industrial I-2, and to the west is undeveloped I-1. Under site history, the original preliminary plat of Mountain Road Commercial Park Subdivision was approved in 2003, along with final and record plats for Unit 1. Final plat for Unit 2 was approved in 2004, and final plat for Unit 3 was approved in 2006, but neither were recorded. Vacation of the stormwater detention easement was approved in 2006. Revised preliminary plat was approved in 2007, but has since lapsed. The revised preliminary plat of Mound Road Commercial Park subdivision comprises 8 lots on 48.17 acres. Lots 1 and 2 were part of the previously recorded Unit 1. Both contain existing industrial buildings with accessory parking areas. Lot 1A is a small lot that is being planned to accommodate part of the existing Lot 1 parking lot. Lot 3 was also recorded with Unit 1 and includes a public sanitary sewer lift station. Lot 4 is a buildable lot and includes 22.8 acres. Lot 5 comprises 6.1 acres and is also buildable. There are no known users for these lots as of the writing of the staff report. Lot 6 and the conservation outlot are not buildable lots. There are 3 ingress-egress easements along Mound Road and 1 along Humboldt Road. Stormwater detention area on Lot 4 is existing for the subdivision. All public improvements will be provided for as per the zoning ordinance, subdivision regulations, and the requirements of the Public Works and Utilities Departments. Sewer and water, tap-on fees, and the development impact fee will be required, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have the petitioner on hand?
Hi, my name is Dan Malinowski. I am the consultant for the developer.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think everything was covered very well by Jim Torrey. If there's any questions, we have to answer them.
I got one right. How come it was never recorded when you guys did all this several years ago?
For Unit 2, Unit 3, yeah, that was a decision that the developer decided to hold it back at the time because of economic reasons.
Is there a cost involved in recording?
There's a cost when you get your recording plat approved, and then you post letters of credit and inspection fees, but they didn't do that. So there's no cost other than the filing fee.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Any other comments or questions from the citizens? Does anybody wish to make a motion on this?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr? Aye. Mr. Wonderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Next agenda item.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to new business for public hearing. V 221 is a vacation of a portion of 3rd Avenue east of Boulder Avenue. The applicant is Jose de Jesus Padilla. Status of applicant is the owner of adjacent properties. Requested action, approval of a right-of-way vacation. Purpose is to secure in adjoining properties. The existing zoning is I-1 light industrial. Location is 3rd Avenue east of Boulder Avenue. The right-of-way vacation size is 0.31 acres. Existing land use is unused public right-of-way. Surrounding land use and zoning is industrial I-1 to the north. To the south is undeveloped industrial I-1. To the east is undeveloped industrial I-2. And to the west is undeveloped industrial I-1. We have no previous cases under site history. Special information, the petitioner contacted the city about securing his property that borders undeveloped Boulder Avenue and 3rd Avenue due to illegal fly dumping that was taking place on the property. An appraisal was conducted and is attached. The value on the unused right-of-way was valued at $10,250. Petitioner is aware of this value and is willing to pay this amount to acquire the property. As of the writing of the staff report, there have been no objections from the notified utility companies or the city Public Works and Utilities Department, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have the petitioner on hand for this one?
My name is Alfonso Cicero. Here to represent the owner of the place. The reason we're here is there's a lot of illegal dumping there. A lot of people sleeping at night. It's very dark. A lot of cars with the young people go in there in the middle of the night, and there's a lot of things going in there. So sometimes it costs a lot just to keep them out. And, we can't get them out of the middle because that's not our property. We've been called, but it belongs to the street. So I had a couple things here that are other reasons that I don't know if I can pass these over to you.
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ariel.
So you wanna build a shop there eventually someday?
Yes, sir. We kind of slowed it down. We've been trying to do that for about a year and 2 years ago, but the coronavirus hit, and so we kind of slowed down and waited. And
Yeah, okay. Are there any, questions or comments from the commissioners? Any from the citizens? Somebody like to make a motion for
We
V dash
have,
two?
we have somebody
out there.
who would like to make comment.
Somebody has a comment, go ahead.
You gotta come up to the podium.
Sorry, my name is Rocio, and I own the house on the end of Boulder, right where that is. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where the property, the piece of land is. Because, like I said, I live at the end of Boulder. So right now, Mr. Padilla, we talked with Mr. Padilla, but there's a lot of trucks that go drive, a lot of semis drive by already. So we're trying to figure out if he's trying to buy that land so he can make his entrance from the other way, or what is he planning on doing that? Because right now it's really hard. Like at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, the trucks start coming in and out. So,
His area, if you could see on the aerial, I think you're up, closer to Second Avenue there, is that
right,
where you're
I'm
at?
like a block and a half from Second Avenue to going, south on Boulder Avenue.
Right, you're there on the, west side, so you could see with the teal color that's outlined there, that is what he's wanting to vacate and purchase from us. You know, so it's at the curve down, past you to the southeast.
Okay.
And won't
So
affect.
I'm trying to, what I'm trying to look at, like, basically picture it, because, Broad Avenue and Third Avenue, is that what we're talking about, where there's the other
No,
empty?
No, be on the other side by Second, coming off Second and, Boulder.
Okay, so that is going towards, because next to me there is,
It'd be north, it looks like, from, what's
no,
the-
it has to be south.
There doesn't come into it.
Is that, because I'm trying to figure out, because behind there is his, where he parks all the semis, and then there's like a brake company. Is that, I mean, is this what I'm trying to look at?
So is your overall question, is he going to make that an entrance onto his property? Is that what you're
Is that
concerned
what
about?
he's trying to purchase, to reroute the
reroute
semis
it.
to go that way? To
Maybe he can-
eliminate all the traffic that's coming in from
Yeah.
Boulder?
Yeah, maybe we can ask him directly and see what his intentions, to verify that that is or is not his intentions.
Okay, there is no other way to come in but through Boulder. The other way is a private, there's another company in the back. So I'm trying to get it so we can close it down, so people at night with trucks and other dumping garbage in there don't come in. We need to lock it down.
But it's closed, they wanna close it past the businesses, past you, so you'll still have full access to Boulder. It won't affect that entrance into there, it's where the Boulder curves, and it's an old, unused portion of Third Avenue that they're trying to vacate.
Okay, I'm gonna, because behind there, it was the old railroad tracks, that it was closed down. So if that's the curve that they're trying to cut, or they're trying to buy, or is it the road that goes toward their property? That's what I'm not picturing it.
I think basically what he's trying to say is you want to close that off
so that people can't come in there and have, access to your property to dump anything. If that's closed off, then you won't have traffic coming down there. Once they see that they can't get in, there's nobody gonna be coming down there to dump or go on the property.
Right. But it still creates the issue of the semis. So what I'm trying basically to asking is like, if you're trying to buy up the end from where my property finishes, or like where the end of the property finishes, going back towards his property? Is that,
No, so you go all the way back to where the
So,
railroad tracks are,
right.
that part inside, not on the outside. On the outside is still street, but towards the back, where the railroad used to be.
Okay.
From there in, not towards both.
East.
And what
It
is your,
does-
where's your address?
mine is 207
207 what?
Boulder Avenue,
You're south of Second Avenue, right?
correct.
So are you the last house?
She's right.
I'm the last
on
house.
that
You're the
thing.
last house, yes.
The last house there, this is southeast of you. It doesn't even look like a road. It's an unused portion of Old Third Avenue that is not used by anybody, but he owns both sides of this right-of-way,
No, third doesn't.
and
There's over here.
people are dumping on his
See
property
that house
back there.
right there.
But nobody
Oh, it-
uses it, nobody uses it as a road other than his trucks.
So let me just clarify this. So he doesn't have any access to the extension of Boulder. What he's vacating is the teal box there. So it's not gonna affect you at all. If anything, it'll cut down your traffic because nobody will be going south on Boulder. Does that make sense? That's correct, right?
Well, nobody
Well,
should be going back there but the property owner. You
In
know,
theory, people are doing that now. So I think what he's trying to say is that if he were to purchase that, his intentions is to close that off so that people don't have access to go there. So if anything, it would be creating less traffic or less cars or whatever going through there now.
No, it wouldn't. Not like that, I mean, so, like, I guess my understanding, like, hopefully, I'm asking, like, if he's gonna buy that, is he gonna reroute his trucks make an exit going out from Third Avenue versus coming out Boulder?
no.
I see what you're saying, and I think he addressed that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he said that that was not his intention.
Yeah, there's no road either.
You can't close it out.
You can't.
You can close off on the railroad in, stop the people coming down from 12 midnight
Mm-hmm.
to 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when they're doing that, way we can put cameras, we can get an address. There's a lot of things to be done.
They don't even wait till 12 o'clock. I have videos at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, no,
And I call the police and they don't do anything about it. So my question to you is like, so if you buy that property, are you gonna close off right where normally the barricades are to block that whole back up?
I can't do that. I gotta go all the way back to the railroad tracks. So the only way that that be done is.
Where's the railroad tracks at?
Close the entrance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can't do that. No, we're not doing that much. We're going from the railroad tracks.
So you're basically trying to buy the railroad track?
No, not the, just past the railroad track.
Excuse me, where's the railroad tracks on this drawing?
Well, it's not.
They removed the railroad tracks. And it was our understanding that when they closed the railroad tracks, they were going to extend the walking path from Washington to Raul Avenue. And apparently that didn't happen.
It's just that
So,
green spot, green square, what you see on green, that's the.
If you pass your house going south
mhm.
and you continue until it curves,
So-
and then you go past those old railroad tracks,
Mhm.
to the east of those old railroad tracks is what he wants to vacate. It doesn't even look like a road. It's unimproved right-of-way that the city owns but does not maintain. There's no pavement on it. It does not look like a road. It looks like a part of his property already, but it has underlying right-of-way, that, makes it city-owned property. So no trucks go back there for plowing it or maintaining it. There's no road there. It's just an old, dedicated piece of road that never got improved. The city doesn't want it, And because he owns both adjacent sides of the right-of-way, this is the process where he can acquire it and gate it at east of the old railroad tracks, gate it east of the old road tracks, and then stop this fly dumping that's going on his property.
Okay, because like I said, like the dumping is on both
Yeah.
ways.
Right.
It just-
This
Not
is
just
just to
there.
take care of his property. We can't take care of all that, activity that goes on there, but maybe this will help some. But this is not making any new connections to existing Third Avenue or any other connections. His trucks will still go the same way. There'll just be a gate there now to, stop again this illegal activity that's taking place on his property and, combined his adjacent properties.
Okay, I mean, it's my understanding that it's already gated coming in from Third Avenue.
They can't get in from Third Avenue.
They can't.
Like
Hey,
coming in
You see
from,
that blue right there? That's what they're talking about, correct, Jim?
No, the.
Yes, but I don't think,
Highlighted.
Oh, here, yeah.
Yeah.
The light.
I
That's
don't,
what they're
I don't
talking
think
about.
she's seeing it.
No
I'd
way
be
to get
I'd
in
be glad to
Third
sit
Avenue.
down with you, like after and explain it
Third Avenue
more
doesn't cut
thoroughly,
through.
but this will not affect your property. This
Well,
is
it
not
needs to be the
creating
whole
any
That's what
different
they're saying.
connections to roads or anything like that. Like I said, I'd be glad to sit down with you and explain it more thoroughly, but, for this purpose, this is not going to change anything over there other than making his property a little bit larger and getting rid of unimproved roadway that the city does not want.
okay, yeah, if you had time, then I can.
Sure,
sit there
yeah, if you want to
and
stick
explain
around
that.
after the meeting, I'll be glad to talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to make any other questions? Can I get a motion for, V-2-21?
So move.
Second. Roll call?
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Wonderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crumpton?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Moving on to the next agenda item is A1021. This is the annexation of .36 acres at 2809 Wilshire Boulevard. Classification to R2, single-family residential zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. The applicant owner is Colleen Vole. Requested action is approval of an annexation,
There you go.
classification to R2, single-family residential zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. Purpose is to connect the existing home to city water and sewer. The location again is 2809 Wilshire Boulevard. The size is 15,681.6 square feet. The existing land use is single-family house. Surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is R2, single-family residential, and it's a single-family residence there. To the south is unincorporated Will County and R2, single-family residential zoning, single-family residential house. To the east is unincorporated Will County with a single-family house. To the west is R2, single-family residential, again with a single-family house. To the site history, we have none for this property. Special information, Colleen Vole, property owner, requests that the city annex her .36 acre property in Crystal Lawn neighborhood and classify it as R2, single-family residential, so that she can connect her existing single-family home to city water and sewer. Property currently has well and septic. The adjacent properties to the north and west are currently in the city limits. Several other properties in this neighborhood have annexed into the city over the years as shown by the attached zoning map. City water and sanitary sewer lines run in front of the residence. The property will be required to connect to city water and sewer within 60 days of annexation. Property owner will be financially responsible for connecting the property to the water and sewer lines and paying the tap-on fees. Detachment fees for the Plainfield Fire Protection District and Plainfield Library District have been paid in the amount of $1,335.17, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Do you have a petitioner on hand for this one?
I have nothing to add. Everything
to
seems
add.
correct.
Any comments or questions from any of the commissioners? Comments or questions from any of the public? Seeing none, does somebody want to make a motion on A-10-21?
Move to approve. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Rohr.
Aye.
Mr. Wonderlich.
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Mr. Crompton.
Aye.
Mr. Kellogg.
Aye.
Mr. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Dillon.
Aye.
Next agenda item is PA 21, reapproval of the preliminary plat for Joliet Logistics Park subdivision. FP 621, final plat for Joliet Logistics Park subdivision, Phase 2. The applicant is Veris Partners LLC, Chris Bracolo. Status of applicant is contract purchaser developer. Owner is Route 53 Land LLC, care of Janko Group. Requested action is reapproval of a preliminary plat and approval of a final plat. Purpose is to allow the continued development of a 10-lot industrial subdivision. Existing zoning is I-1 light industrial and B3 general business. Location is Route 53 and Millsdale Road. The size is 298 acres. Existing land use is industrial and undeveloped. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is Route 66 Speedway, I-1 light industrial. To the south is residential and undeveloped, R1, I-1 and unincorporated Will County. To the east is undeveloped, unincorporated Will County, and to the west is residential and undeveloped, R1B, R3 and unincorporated Will County. Under site history, the preliminary plat was approved in October 2007. The final and recording plat for Phase 1 was approved in August 2008, but was never recorded. A variance that allowed a one-year extension on the preliminary plat was approved in December 2009, and reapproval of the preliminary plat for an additional 3 years was approved in January 2011, and again in March 2014. The recording plat of Phase 1A was approved in July 2016. The revised preliminary plat and Phase 2 final and recording plats were approved by the Plan Commission in April 2020, but denied by the City Council in May 2020. Special information, the effective period of the preliminary plat for Joliet Logistics Park subdivision has expired, and the petitioner wishes reapproval of the preliminary plat in order to allow the continued development of the industrial park at this time. The proposed development and layout remain the same as what was originally approved, which proposed the creation of 10 industrial lots on 298 acres. Lot 6, which is 10 acres, contains a portion of the existing stormwater retention area. Additional stormwater retention is located on Lot 4, which also includes an existing 1 million square foot warehouse and distribution facility. Lot 5 currently has a proposal for a 490,000 square foot distribution facility that is shown on the attached plats. This lot is the subject of the Phase 2 final plat request. The other 7 buildable lots vary in size from 2.73 acres to 57.3 acres. There are no known development proposals for the remaining lots as of the writing of this staff report. All public improvements will be provided for as per the zoning ordinance, subdivision regulations, and the requirements of the Public Works and Utilities Department. Public improvements will include a 5-foot wide sidewalk along Route 53, as well as a traffic signal at Millsdale Road and Route 53. Sewer and water tap-on fees, a sewer and water surcharge fee, and the development impact fee will be required, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have a petition on hand for this?
Nathaniel Washburn, attorney for the developer petitioner. We stand behind staff's report, and I'm here to answer any questions. We also have our engineer and Chris, and the owner, if you'd like to speak.
Here to answer any questions.
I got one. This went before the city council, right, Jim, and denied it. Wouldn't it end right there? They have final say-so on everything.
But that does not diminish their right for new request. You know, there's a time period, I think, whether it's 6 months or a year for them to wait to reapply after a denial. I'd have to look into that, but they have the right to
Okay, so it came to us,
reapply.
we said yes, okay. Then went to the city council and they said no. And it's coming back to us again to see if we wanna.
This is
Say
under
okay
a
again?
different case number. Yes, same request under a different case number.
Wouldn't they have to appeal to the city council?
Yeah,
Chairman,
that
if I
would've
may.
go to us.
It will go back to them again.
It's a new
This is a new,
But it's the same thing. I asked you to go to the store, you get the final say so whether I can go to the store or not. And you said, no. Now I'm asking again, can I go to the store? So I'm curious, what was the reason, did the city council say anything?
no, not that I recall why,
Do we have the
why
vote?
they denied.
What the vote was even on the city council?
I don't have that at hand.
Yeah, I don't know specifically the procedure behind it, but if I'm gonna sit here and imagine why they do it that way, after a certain period of time, you are then re-seeking, we're not trying to rehash the other, there could have even been, things changed. I think the whole purpose of starting it as a new case is that we're getting a second, or they're getting a second bite at the apple, or however you wanna say it, that they get to bring it up again. That's why it's a whole new plat, they did a whole new plat, or like a whole new application, a whole new
Application and submitted,
For the same thing.
the same plats, yeah, but, they hope to get a different
Outcome for the city
outcome,
council
but
hasn't changed since 20,
they could get the same outcome as possible.
pretty much the same board, so I don't know. Any questions from the citizens or any commissioners? Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
You gotta come up to the podium and get sworn in.
Mike, please.
My name is Kathy Block. I am the trustee of the property that is at 23815 State Route 53, Elwood, but it's in Joliet. It is a Joliet place. And on your map, it is on Route 53, the little bitty, right there. I am north of Millsdale, on the east side of Route 53. I object. When we originally had the farm, we sold the back half to Pasquinelli. It was supposed to be houses. We kept the highway frontage. All of this was supposed to be houses. The bubble burst. Pasquinelli went bankrupt. We got the warehouse. And across the street and down a mile or so are more warehouses that usually are empty. I am sitting here on about 40 acres of land, which cannot stay farm if I'm surrounded by warehouse. How is it gonna be? There used to be a farm on Jefferson Street behind St. Paul the Apostle, north of Jefferson. You all know where it was? It's not farm now. Why? Because you can't get a tractor there. I have accidents constantly at Millsdale and 53, and I'm the one picking up all the debris. I am in my 70s, for heaven's sake. I pick up Patron bottles. They're not beer anymore. It's Patron. It's pieces of cars. Now you're gonna make this more. What will be left to do with Route 53? If it's warehouses coming up the road on both sides of the road, what else can it be? And yet, you don't want any more warehouses. Well, so what is gonna happen to the properties? I'm asking that you vote no.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
Yes, hi, Rachel Ventura, Will County Board Member. I'm also asking you to vote no on this, uphold the City Council's vote back in 2020 of May. This is farmland, so we could be using it for farmland, but more importantly, we have a housing shortage in Will County. The county itself has put out an RFP to try to help alleviate some of this. We're going to continue to have problems with a housing shortage until we get more housing. And that's not just affordable housing, that is market housing, that is above market price housing, everything you can think of, from single bedrooms to apartments and et cetera. So what I would encourage this board to do is to vote no on this. We don't need any more industrial land. Keep it as or move it for residential, since it hasn't ever been rezoned from A1, or leave it as A1 and incentivize farmers to farm this land. You can even have a local food economy and try to encourage some of the farmland to provide food for our schools or our jails or whatever you may have. But there's more dollars in providing living wage jobs, in whether it's building houses or creating farmland incentives, than warehousing, which we know it uses temp workers and undercuts a living wage, which then hurts our entire economy. On top of that, it does increase traffic and puts pollution out. So you guys have heard this all before in multiple other instances. I don't need to continue to repeat it, but the people of Will County and the people of Joliet are tired of warehousing. It's running our city into the ground. We need better paying jobs. We need better use of our land, and it should not be warehousing. So please vote no on this. Uphold the wishes of the residents and constituents in my district, as well as what the city council voted on 2020. Thank you.
Lisa, are you,
Question?
yeah, I have a question. Lisa,
Rachel, got a question?
are you privy to information that somebody wants to put housing in there or aware of?
No, the county put out an RFP to ask developers to come before us to have a plan for all of Will County. We have not sat on those boards yet, and we're waiting for people to continue to apply. And then the county will have a couple of county board members and the executives sit through those proposals. And then once we have a proposal, we'll bring to the county board. And then that proposal may or may not encourage other entities like cities and townships to work with us to provide more housing. So we have been actively trying to encourage developers to come here and provide housing and build that. And we're going to continue to do that because we know that's a need of the people in our area.
But at this point, there's no reception to your,
I do not have a developer who wants to build houses right now on this land, no. But I would hope that your planning department is more than capable of finding that.
okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Plan Commission, I'd like to say a couple of things. In response to County Board Member Ventura, this property is currently within the city of Joliet, and it is currently zoned I-1 light industrial. It has been since, I believe, 2007, when this plat was originally approved. This plat has been approved and was extended several times. It's always, since this plat was approved, it has been intended as an industrial subdivision. Due to various economic factors, it's developed somewhat slowly. 2007, 2008 had its issues. Today, we're asking for just the preliminary plat to be reapproved in its entirety, but the reality is Lot 5, that square kind of off to the east side, is the property that is going to be developed. It'll require an extension of Millsdale Road. This facility will be built using union labor, which is good, high-paying jobs for the community. And at the end of the day, each successive development, again, we're only asking to final plat one lot. Any other lot would still have to come back before the Plan Commission and then again before the City Council in order to get any final approvals necessary. To your point, Chairman Dillon, this did come before this commission before, and it was approved. It went to City Council. The ordinance requires that if the City Council rejects a proposal like this, it must wait a year before coming back before Plan Commission and then City Council again. So we've done that. We've waited that year out, actually more than a year, and we are now seeking a new approval from both the Plan Commission and the City Council.
Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember this. The only hang up I have in this is that the city council had said no, and I don't know why they said no. I would like to know if we wouldn't be able to table this. I'd like to speak to some of the council people, because I haven't heard anything about this myself.
To the best of your knowledge, why did the city council not approve it?
Well, I just want to interrupt here. I don't know if we should be making our decisions based off of past city council, their decisions. I think we are specifically here to vote on what we believe.
Well, I
the
think
best
so,
purpose
because
of
they
the-
are the
of the
final
land is.
say-so of everything in this city.
Well,
They
then
were the
let
buck's
it
supposed
go to them.
stop.
Then I think that we should vote the way that we feel it should vote, and we should not commingle the two, and we should allow them the opportunity to say yes or no
Did
again.
they have some
They
information
already
that we
said
didn't
no.
have?
And I would
We
like
only
to
are allowed the
have respect
information,
and ask them
yeah,
questions
we're
about it.
only allowed the information that is privy to us. I think, I would say it's probably a very complete package. I mean, right?
Beg pardon?
It's a complete package, right? We have the whole packet in front of us. I don't think tabling it helps anything, unless I'm not seeing
But the only
something.
reason I would table this, Bridget, is actually so I can be able to speak to city council members to ask them why they decided. Nobody's giving me any information.
Well,
And the city
yeah.
council is the ones that say final say-so on everything.
Yeah, but
So
I
maybe
don't,
they have information they never let public? I don't know.
okay, and
But
I'm
I
just,
would like to know.
and I appreciate that. I'm just gonna say it for public record. I do not make decisions off of what I think city council will or will not vote down. I make decisions based off of what I feel is
I
best use
did
of the
not
property.
say that, nor have I ever implied that. We have done everything just the opposite.
Okay.
Many times. But once the city council has voted on something after we approved it and said, hey, we don't want it, okay, guys, what was the problem with it? Inform me, educate me. I respect the council enough to ask them the question directly.
I'm gonna have to agree to disagree like we do most often.
We always disagree.
I know.
Mr. Chairman, to your point, and I believe to Mr. Rohr's point as well, we're here to ask the Plan Commission to use its judgment based on the factors set forth in our proposal to make a decision as the Plan Commission, and that is a recommendation for or against this plat, both the preliminary and the final plat. That decision, the ultimate decision is in the hands of the city council. While things, the council members may remain the same, time has gone by, attitudes change, opinions change, and we would like to have our day with the council to get this either approved, or if it's denied again, that's the city council's prerogative, but we're asking today that this matter move forward with a vote from the Plan Commission.
Nathan, that's a good point, because I'm learning something here. If it gets denied again, now do you wait another year and it comes back to this committee again? I'm just curious, because I've never heard of this.
Well, that is that will be the right of the client and developer, whether they seek to approach it that way. That will be their decision.
But it could
I will
be-
state for the record that I was not the attorney present at any of the prior hearings for this. I'm new to this file, and I'm up to speed now. And we feel this is a good project. We feel it's good union jobs for the city, and we believe this is a good development given its location. I guess hearkening back to Ms. Ventura's point, it's industrially zoned property with a large warehouse already in place. The likelihood that this is going to be converted into residential is very minimal from that standpoint. And I, again, believe this is a good project. I believe it should move forward. And we are asking that the Plan Commission take a vote either for or against today, and we would ask that that vote be in favor.
Can I verify, we're only voting on lot 5 today, is that correct?
We are voting on a reapproval of the preliminary plat of the entire subdivision, but the preliminary plat has not changed since its inception. At the second part of that is the final plat. Only lots that are final platted are buildable lots. So at the end of this, final plat will be for lot 5.
I see.
And I believe that, is that all of lot 5? I guess I should ask Joe. Yeah, so that little tail and the box are all lot 5, one lot. That would be what is final platted and what would be buildable at the end of, assuming again that the city council votes in favor. This is a recommendation to the council. The council, as Chairman Dillon pointed out, has the final say.
Let me see. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir. Come up to the mic, please.
I just want to clarify something. Did you say you're going to put a street light, or you're going to put stoplights at 53 in Millsdale Road? Oh,
That's what I heard.
that's what I heard.
Millsdale has to be extended.
There's no, okay. I thought I heard that there was going to be stoplight. I just wanted to verify that.
We have to extend Millsdale in front of, to correspond with the improvements to lot 5. Our plat requires that when IDOT warrants a signal at 53 in Millsdale, it is the developer's responsibility to install that. That warrant has not come down, so at this time, there is no plans to install any signal improvements on Millsdale and 53.
Okay. I just wanted to verify that.
I've got another question here. Now, when that big warehouse went up there at Millsdale, 53 on the east side, that same thing came up again, at that time, traffic lights, Emerald Rise traffic lights. It's not going through the state. The city can't say, we're gonna have traffic lights, because the state doesn't approve it. You're not gonna get them. And another thing, I've been a union member since 1972, right? And I know your estimators, and I mean, they're gonna be union, and your laborers.
Sir, direct your comments up here. I know you've been here before.
Right.
Don't attack the
But
people. They're just
I'm
doing what they
saying
want.
It's the same old song and dance. When them warehouses go in there, and the people start working there, they're not gonna be union jobs. And they're telling you it's gonna be union, the dirt movers, the concrete people that pour the curbs, and maybe the people that put their warehouses up, but not the people that gotta make a living wage working there.
I actually agree with you on that one, because I know it probably won't be.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen it, and that's why you get the people that they come out there. If you've ever been down there when the warehousing lets out from Center Point at Millsdale and 53,
I've been down there and looked at that stuff before, yes.
where you get 4 cars trying to pull out at the same time on you, everybody's coming down 53. This starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. And
Goes all day.
and more warehouses you had, and you just told the last person up here about the dumping over on 3rd Avenue and Boulder, you says, we can't control that because we don't have the people to do that. Well, if you don't have the people to do that inside your main city limits, how are you gonna have people control anything out there? Tell me that. You says, I'm asking you, how do you control that? How do you control what's going on out there right now? You don't. Even though you've got city limit properties out there, all you guys are doing, instead of, every time I come to city council meetings, we talked about the housing, your city council members will say, who want to build houses out there in this kind of school district? Whose fault is that? The city of Joliet. Not the developer's fault, because if you talk down the schools, nobody's going to want to go there. Correct? Ask me. I went to Central. All my kids went to Central. We all graduated.
So they're building warehouses out there now, so what do you want me to tell you?
And it's just like when North Point come out there, it says.
It's been going on for 20 years now, sir.
You're right, and at some point, we got to put a stop to it and start building houses.
You know what? There's times I would like to, but I'm not gonna sit here and argue about it. Anybody else? Anybody else? So, we have his, P-8-21. Does the commissioner like to make this a motion of some kind? What's the motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion for approval and a second. Roll call?
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Wonderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Nay.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
You know, I voted aye for the first time of this, but since the city council already turned it down, I'd like to know why too. Nay.
It's 5-3.
So that will go with the Plan Commission's recommendation for approval to the City Council in November. Last on the agenda. I think that was both preliminary and final.
There's one more thing.
I'm sorry, was the recommendation for only the preliminary or for the preliminary and the final together?
No,
No,
you didn't state that, so now we gotta,
Gotta vote the other one, yes.
now we gotta,
Why didn't we, what do you mean we didn't say it? It was motion approved.
The
yeah,
whole
I didn't
thing.
divide them. So I guess it was for both of them.
Yeah.
I didn't divide them, so.
That's what he said it was.
Can we, okay, so do we do a revote, do both
Where'd
of
that
them
lawyer
separate?
go? Always running out of the
I
room.
think that
There
we
he
need
is.
to do a revote and do each of them independently to verify that. I think that's probably the best way to
Chris,
do
do
it.
you have to do a revote since it wasn't said for,
For which item?
it was for the preliminary and the thing, I just asked for a motion for the P-8-21. But he did not
Oh, there's
stipulate it.
the FP on there too? You could do a motion. The first vote was for P-8-21, is that correct?
Yes.
Then you could just do a separate motion and vote for FP 621.
Okay, so
Make a motion
we got
to
a second, a motion for the FP dash.
So moved.
P dash, what was it, 20,
FP-6-21.
there we go.
So moved.
Second.
Should have caught that myself. Roll call?
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
No.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Wonderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
No.
So with that, now both will proceed to city council
They
with
both passed.
recommendation for approval.
Actually, because I did say P-8-21. So, yeah.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, thanks for pointing it out.
Last on the agenda is Z0121, zoning ordinance amendment to section 4715, adult use cannabis to reduce the residential setback requirement for an adult use cannabis dispensing organization from 250 feet to 50 feet. Under general information, the applicant is the city of Joliet. The requested action is approval of zoning ordinance amendment to section 4715, adult use cannabis to reduce the residential setback requirement for an adult use cannabis dispensary organization from 250 feet to 50 feet. Purpose is to enable more opportunities for cannabis dispensaries to locate in the B2 Central Business District, B3 General Business District, I1 Light Industrial District, and I2 General Industrial Zoning Districts. Under case history, at their November 19th, 2019 meeting, City Council adopted ordinances to allow adult use cannabis dispensing organizations as a special use in the B2 Central Business District, B3 General Business District, I1 Light Industrial District, and I2 General Industrial Zoning Districts, as well as regulate the time, place, and manner of adult use cannabis dispensing organizations through a new section of the zoning ordinance, section 4715 adult use cannabis. The city defines adult use cannabis dispensing organizations as follows: facility operated by an organization or business that is licensed by the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation to acquire cannabis from licensed cannabis business establishments for the purpose of selling or dispensing cannabis, cannabis-infused products, cannabis seeds, paraphernalia, or related supplies to purchasers or to qualified registered medical cannabis patients and caregivers per the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, PA 101-0027, as it may be amended from time to time, and regulations promulgated thereunder. City prohibits adult use cannabis dispensing organizations with on-site consumption. The adopted section 4715-1 adult use cannabis regulations are included as an attachment to the staff report packet. Under discussion, the city's current zoning regulations regarding the potential location of adult use cannabis dispensing organizations specify that these dispensaries may not be located within 200 feet from residentially zoned areas, as well as within 500 feet from pre-existing public or private nursery school, preschool, primary or secondary school, daycare center, and daycare home. Purpose of the proposed amendment to section 4715-1 adult use cannabis is to reduce the residential setback requirement for dispensaries from 250 feet to 50 feet to enable more opportunities for this type of business to locate in the B2 Central Business, B3 General Business, I1 Light Industrial, and I2 General Industrial Zoning Districts. Included with this staff report packet are a series of maps that show the proposed 50-foot residential setback buffer. And that can, under summary, case Z0121 requests that the Plan Commission consider amending section 4715-1 adult use cannabis, subsection 7.b, to reduce the residential setback requirement for an adult use cannabis dispensing organization from 250 feet to 50 feet, which is the only proposed change to the city's zoning ordinance regarding cannabis businesses. Proposed text of the proposed amended subsection 7.b would be: facility shall not be located in a dwelling unit in any area zoned for residential use or within 50 feet of the property line of a pre-existing property zoned for residential purposes. This distance shall be measured between the following points: 1, the nearest property line of the projected use, and either the nearest boundary of the interior space occupied by the establishment. And that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. So the city wants to change this around. Who in the city wants to put this, I guess, where do they want to build these at?
They don't have any specific location
Nothing specific,
identified.
except maybe on Jefferson.
Yeah, and Derek Conley with our Director of Economic Development. He can maybe add some additional information.
Eric, we can't find any other legit businesses other than drugs?
So, I will just back up here. I do want to just start from the beginning. We do currently have 2 cannabis dispensaries here in Joliet. One of them has been here for many years. That would be the one that started out as a medical dispensary at Rock Run Crossings Boulevard. And then the other one would be the newer cannabis dispensary, which is located out by the Louis Joliet Mall called Rise. So the Rise that came through the first wave of the recreational cannabis dispensary licenses that were given out by the state. Back in July, August, and September, there was another round of recreational cannabis dispensary licenses issued by the state. There were 185 of them. Shortly afterwards, staff started to get calls from some of these developers saying, we're interested in Joliet, where can we locate? We said, yes, we do allow recreational cannabis dispensaries here. They went to the field looking for properties. Something that we did notice was that a lot of them were coming back with properties, and they oftentimes fell into this residential buffer area, which is 250 feet. So that did prompt staff to kind of look and see what other municipalities did have for this buffer. We do, of course, have buffers for everything from schools, institutions, parks, things of that nature. So looking at some of our comparable cities, Aurora does not have a residential buffer. Elgin does not have a residential buffer. Rockford does not have a residential buffer. Peoria does not have a residential buffer, and neither does Oswego. They all indicated that this is not for on-site consumption, this is a retail use, and does not need that type of buffer. I will say that there are some other municipalities across the state that do have a buffer for residences. Shorewood is being one of them. They have the exact same distance as we have right now, which is 250 feet. I talked to their economic development director today. They said that they modeled that ordinance based off of our own, the Joliet ordinance that we passed. The other one that I found that did have a residential buffer was Romeoville. They have a 500-foot buffer. They already have a cannabis dispensary license. I talked to them as well. They indicated that they're happy just having one. They don't really see the need to reduce that buffer, although it was originally 1,000 feet. Of course, there are other municipalities who don't allow cannabis dispensaries in their community at all. Our neighbors would be New Lenox and Bolingbrook. Both of them have prohibited the use of dispensaries in their communities. One other thing that just in discussions with staff and with other people in the public, one of the questions that came up that I think is useful is, what is the distance that we have for bars in residences in Joliet? And that would be 100 feet. We do not have any pending projects. Some of the developers that we were talking to that got these licenses, they have decided to locate elsewhere, finding other places or other municipalities where they could find a site. There is kind of a narrow window that they have to find a location. They are awarded the license, and then they have to have 180 days in order to get permission, essentially, or all their entitlements from the municipality. Otherwise, they lose their license. It goes to someone else. So there is just a narrow window for that. Many of those people who we're talking to, they're not local here anymore. I just want to be clear that this does still require a special use permit. Anyone who opens up a dispensary here in Joliet would have to go through city council and get approval. If it's still outside of the residential buffer, city council could still decide if they don't want to see this at this location and deny it. I did also have a conversation with our police department about our current dispensaries that we do have here. I talked to the chief and then also one of the lieutenants. They indicated that they had no problems with the dispensaries that are operating here in Joliet. And we do actually have police officers that are staffed over at the dispensary out by the Louis Joliet Mall. And then just one final point I'll make, that this is not for on-site consumption. That is prohibited.
Well, if we can change this, why don't we just change the one by the school, for Pete's sake? Let's get them all in there one time. I mean, what's the difference between the school? Why should we worry about that? 50 feet, that's nothing. That's the house next door.
Right, so the issue is that there's only so many schools here in Joliet. Residences are everywhere, and oftentimes we have houses that are backed up right to a commercial corridor. You may not realize, you go down something like Jefferson Street or Collins Street, there's a house behind there, and that buffer is prohibiting any type of dispensary going in there. There's actually some cases where you may say, if you're gonna put a dispensary in this location, that would be a good one, but then you don't realize that maybe 200 feet behind there is a house that is now non-eligible property.
Right now, we coincide with the state prerogatives.
Yeah, and also, yes, we do have in our ordinance that we have to be so far from a school, a park, things of that nature. That was actually regulated by the state. We adopted what they had already said that we had to, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the commissioners can vote this if they want. Personally speaking, when I was a kid, if I wanted cigarettes, I could get the guy going into the store and get them. If I wanted boot, I could get the kid, there's always somebody. So if I want drugs, if I'm a kid, right next door behind it, hey, mister, eventually you're gonna hit the right guy as soon as you give him enough money. And he'll buy it for you. I think 250 feet was fine as it was, but. Anybody else with any comments, or somebody wants to make a motion on,
I think we have comments from the audience.
Yeah.
do we have somebody from the audience again?
I'll be really quick. I'm sorry. Over the summer, I was with my middle son Murphy over there, and we were at the corner of Larkin and Jefferson, and this was during the middle of the day. There was a prostitute in that intersection with a sign that said, "Help me get weed."
Do we have, I'm sorry, what was that, ma'am?
I'm sorry. I was at the corner of Larkin and Jefferson in middle of the day with my oldest son, and we're on our way home, and there was a prostitute in the intersection.
Well, that's
with-
coming next, don't worry, we got that.
Yeah, but she had a sign that said, "Help me get weed." Right across where Tony's is gonna go. Do you think Tony's is gonna stay when you put in marijuana dispensaries there? And look at hundreds and hundreds of kids walk home from West every day. And like you said, they can walk over to this dispensary or somewhere near it, and there is gonna be a person of adult age who will sell to these kids. We need to do better. You know, I would rather see buildings torn down and trees put up than a marijuana store on Jefferson Street. It's never going to recover if this happens. Please, please, no. Thank you.
Any other commissioner? Oh, you had something, okay,
All
ma'am.
right, yeah, just real quick. So I think we can definitely prevent this, and there's really no reason to do this. I'm kind of shocked that the staff is even bringing this up. There are plenty of places on Jefferson Street where they can do 250 feet. Why are we accommodating the pot stores? Why? We have two, and the only reason why they're not having problems by the mall is because they don't have problems there. If you go to Fresh Time, there's only one time I've been there shopping that there's been panhandlers. The police are on it like crazy. They don't allow it. But you go to Jewel on Jefferson or Walgreen and see how many times you get addressed. A friend of ours got stabbed in the leg for not giving enough money to a homeless panhandler. So we definitely can stop this. There's no reason for this. Let them go somewhere else on Jefferson Street. Doesn't have to be in an area where there's a home and children. And thank you. And Mr. Dillon, thank you for all your comments.
Anybody else got a comment from the board?
Yeah, I want to make a motion, and the thing is, we are receiving information the way our citizens feel, instead of the other way around. And I'm going to make a motion to reject this, and then vote on it.
I'd second it in a heartbeat.
I can make a contrary motion at the same time, right? And I can make a motion for approval, or does it have to get voted down and then we can make a new motion?
Get voted down, then we make a motion. Yes,
There was a
second it.
second.
So,
Roll
yeah, you
call.
have to go through that first.
Roll call first.
Mr. Cox?
I'm voting
I know this is confusing.
This is a
The motion was
recommendation
to
for
say no.
denial.
To deny.
They leave it the
so-
way it is with the state laws.
no,
So you're saying no to the denial?
no to the denial.
Okay. Mr. Crompton?
No.
Mr. Kella?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
No.
Ms. Rohr?
No.
Mr. Wunderlich?
No.
Mr. Dillon?
Yes.
So 5 against
It
3.
passed, now we know for new motion. President, what would you like to do for the drugs?
I would like to make a motion for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
No?
Mr. Moore?
No.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Wunderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Absolutely not.
So both votes, it came down to denial or it came down to approval? It was 5-3 both.
Yeah, so the recommendation is for approval, and this will go on to city council, in November. First or second meeting, Jane, for this? Second meeting, at city council for this, for those interested.
We'll work on that prostitution next. A motion for adjournment, everybody say aye?
We're not done,
Aye.
not done.
Opposed?
We're not
Ayes
done.
have it.
Hold on.
We got something. What do you
So
got?
next, old new business, not for final action, we have none. 8 public comments. I don't, know if anyone wants to speak on non-agenda items. You're welcome to speak, for non-agenda items. Not seeing any, now you can adjourn.
Adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
It's done.